Hey, what's up everybody? It's Mike from Cornfield Customs, and on this episode, I am going to cover the 1961 MGA land speed car, so stick around as we give you the walk around. All right, so this is, like I said, the 1961 MGA land speed car that I picked up. It was out in California. It was originally designed and built in the UK, and it's a super cool car, and I'm gonna give you, we're gonna lift it up, look underneath of it, show you all the stuff, and we'll cover some of the modifications that I am doing in preparation to go to Bonneville. So I've actually had this out racing at El Mirage twice already this year. So we went to the season opener and I got 3 runs in, and then we went in June and we got another 3 runs in, kind of learning the car, figuring out what works, what needs some attention. If you guys were watching, I did have a spin in May. I spun at about 182 mile an hour, and that was a lot to do with track conditions. We looked up all the information from the data logger and went through that, and it just showed that we hit a soft spot, the suspension loaded, then unloaded, and it kind of pitched us over into a spin. But some of the stuff with the handling we'll get into when we get underneath of it. We've made some suspension and steering upgrades, and that's kind of where we are. So first thing I'll do is we'll pop the hood off. It's a little bit harder now by myself. Before it had 5 bolts that held it on, and just for the ease of getting the hood off if we need to check something at the starting line, instead of having to take the bolts out, I went ahead and put these quick latches on, which are super cool, and when I get it off I'll show you. But this one I left out. We're going to put a real hood pin in there. That way it's just a little bit of a safety net, just so if the quick latches fail, the hood doesn't come flying off on course. So they're super cool. All we do is we just push down on this little button, and I have to lift up on it just a little bit, and we can lift that off. I've got one in a box I'll show you that's not attached to the hood. I guess it's in the box on the workbench. So as you can see, this is not your standard MGA drivetrain. So what we have is a Roush Racing crate engine. So it's a Ford Coyote with a Whipple supercharger on top. It was dyno tuned by Hennessy out in California, and it is wedged down into this MGA body. So it makes a little bit more power, gets a little rowdy, but this is one of the things that made me fall in love with this car. I just thought the color was really cool, the driveline was cool, the packaging was really well done, and there's just something about this car that I really like. So yeah, not your normal drivetrain. But back to the latches. So how those latches work is it comes down on this little ball socket, and it just clips over it, and it over center locks on those, and then the button releases it. So way easier than taking out 5 bolts with an Allen if we need to double check something or we're having a mechanical issue while we're in the starting line. So that was an upgrade I just did last week, trying to get everything ready for Bonneville. So I guess with the hood off, we can start at the front. So we have, the headlights are just taped over in case something were to come up and crack the headlight so the glass doesn't go all over the course. Same thing, there's tape over the marker lights to protect them from coming apart. And then per our class, we have to have a stock grill shell, and it has to pass through to the radiator. We can't block this off. We can't block the radiator in the front or the back side. That is one of our class rules to be in the modified GT class. But we could put an air dam. So we have an air dam in the front and these 2 center nostrils, so they go into the radiator. And then we have engine oil coolers on both sides, which we can show you that when we lift it up in the air. So engine coolers on the outside, engine oil coolers on the outside, radiator in the middle. This used to be where there was an air inlet horn when it ran modified sports. But since we're running modified GT, we had to cap over that. We can't have that air horn coming out. So now it pulls its fresh air from inside the grill shell area. There's a little tube over there. I'm not sure if you can see it, but that's where the fresh air comes in, and it runs back through the fender into an air box and pulls air up into the supercharger. So moving our way back with the air dam, we have custom made 2-piece aluminum racing wheels with land speed racing tires. And per the rule book, you can have the moon discs held on with 6 screws or 3/4 turn fasteners. And originally they were held on with 6 screws. Between every run, I like to check air pressure and retorque the lug nuts. So taking all these screws out, hopefully not losing one, and all of that, I came up with these bolt-on adapter rings. So it utilizes the 6 screws, the aluminum bolts on, and now we can use quarter turns, and we don't have to weld or do anything to the rim. We just utilize those 6 pre-drilled bolt holes to do that. So I put those on all 4 wheels. Now let me grab a quarter turn tool, and we can open up the tonneau cover. So I put this access door in here. This is the same as the fire door I put in the modified Roadster. And what that does is there's a data logger, which you'll see when I take the tonneau cover off. And the data logger doesn't come on until the car's running. So we start the car, I'm already belted in at the starting line. Well, how do we turn the data logger on? We have to reach over and we push a button to engage it to start recording. So somebody on the other side had to reach over me, underneath, and feel around to find the data logger button. And it was just very inconvenient, and sometimes we'd knock some of the ignition switches off, just not ideal. So I went ahead and put this door in. So now we start the car, come up, turn the data logger on, shut the door, and we're good. So just something we found of use of to make using it a little bit easier. So some of the interior panels are currently out as we're doing some other stuff on the car. So you can see the transmission cover is off, drive shaft cover is off, and some of the interior panels here. We went ahead and added about 500 pounds of lead weight here in the back. So all these covers had to come out to get that weight put in. We're trying to put about 1,000 pounds of additional ballast in the car for Bonneville. Gives us a little bit more of non-aerodynamic downforce, makes the car heavier, and it stays planted a lot better. So I have to get those put back in, but we wanted to do this video to show you the car and kind of what's going on. So this here is my cool suit. So I have a shirt that goes on under my racing suit, and this fills with ice water, and it circulates through these lines up through my shirt to keep me cool when it's really hot outside. I really like these ultra chillers because they're nice and compact, and I made it. We used a quick release fire extinguisher mount, so then I can take it out and dump it, and it just, again, trying to make things easy to work on, easy to maintain, and get out of the way if we need to move something. So we've got the panel that goes here has a Canon plug on it. We can plug everything in. And again, that's all quick disconnect. And here is our Firefox fire suppression system. So it uses an aqueous-based foam and non-hazardous, non-toxic. But in the event of an engine or cockpit fire, we have the fire suppression to put that out. And here is the data logger I was talking about. So we have our factory Ford ECU down there in the corner, and this is part of the engine control module, and then here's our data logger. So someone had to reach in, come over and push that little red button. Like I said, just kind of inconvenient. And you can see the transmission, so it's a supercharged Coyote driveline, and this is a Tremec Magnum T56 6-speed. And one thing we're going to do with that is, I'm not the most coordinated, and my left hand is not very intelligent since I'm right-handed. I've been learning to drive a 6-speed manual with my left hand, and I've been managing okay. But the big thing is when you're on course and you're racing, you want to keep your focus on the task at hand, keeping the car under control, staying on course, staying in bounds, and being safe. And I'd caught myself kind of looking over at what my left hand was doing because I'm not confident with what's going on. So we bought an S1 sequential shifter, so then we don't have to worry about the H pattern anymore. It's just pull back each gear we want, and I think that'll make life a lot easier, and I can focus on driving, not focus on shifting gears, just reducing things that can take my attention away from more important things. So that is this side of the cockpit. And per our class, we're allowed to have a wing with side plates or a spoiler. So here are our side plates. This was our spoiler, and it was solid mounted, and it was held on with a bunch of screws. And I modified it by putting this hinge in for two different reasons. The first reason is if we were to have spun around backwards and continued backwards, this would have given us lift and could have picked up on the back of the car, and it could have been really bad. So by putting this hinge on, when these clecos are out and it's riveted, it can flip up, reduce that lift, and it'll make it safer if we get turned around backwards. So I still have to come in and put all the rivets in. And then the other thing is I can drill here on the side and move our support plates along that arc, and then we can adjust our spoiler to give us different amounts of downforce depending on what we need. So I'll put some strut rods on there to help make it adjustable, and there'll be a nice piece of thick angle here to support that. But I'm working on those, and I like the safety aspect of that flipping up in the event of a spin, as well as being able to adjust it. We have our parachute pack. The chute is out currently. I like to leave that out until we're ready to go racing, so it airs out. I still have to wash it from El Mirage. It's full of dust, so we got to do that. Chute tether, push bar. Here is our main electrical kill switch, which we have to have on the outside of the car to where an emergency responder can come up and make sure the power is off. And we are running tail lights just like the headlights because those are required in our class. And we'll show you more of this when we get it up in the air, but here's the strakes for the diffuser. So it's got a full belly pan on it and the strakes. And like I said, when we get it up in the air, I'll show you a little bit more. And seat, there's all the aluminum interior that I mentioned. So one cool thing that I like about this car, well, there's a few actually, but it's street legal, which is super cool. So I have it titled, registered in my name, and like the doors still work. So the doors work both sides, and I think that's super cool. Just little detail stuff, especially if I drive it on the street, it just makes it that much cooler. So with the door open, here's our parachute release. And I can get to that from the inside, it passes through. And these are to help keep my hands inside in case of a rollover. So I have arm restraints on as well, but it just helps make sure that my fingers or my wrist can't fall out of that and get rubbed off. So that's what these are for. Steering wheel quick couples off. We'll get that out of the way. So again, no seat or anything in there, but I had to update the belts. So we have brand new Auto Power racing belts. They're Camlock style, had them custom made for the car. And then here we have our fire suppression release. This is our main interior kill, oil light, and then all of the controls. So our fan, intercooler, water pump, ignition, fuel pump 1, fuel pump 2. So we have a lift pump that goes up from the tank into a swirl pot, and then from the swirl pot it pressurizes the engine. You think we should show them that?
Sure.
All right. So I can lift this up, and then you can see it. So like another cool thing, like I said, it still uses like the factory trunk prop, which I just like. It's just a lot of that little neat stuff that why re-engineer and make it more complicated than it needs to be when that works perfectly fine. So here's our trunk area. Fuel cell is underneath of here, and it has the lift pump, which pumps from the tank up into the swirl pot. It fills the swirl pot, and then it pressurizes the engine from there. So not stuff you see at Bonneville a whole lot. This is more of a road race setup, but a road race team originally designed and built the car with Colin Walker over in the UK. So they did it their way and it really seems to work fine. So we're just gonna leave it as is.
We're gonna put it in the air now?
Yeah, we can lift it up.
Okay.
Yeah, and one thing I am going to do is the cage is a little high for my body type. So I was gonna try to do it before Bonneville, but I don't think I'm gonna have time. But over the winter, I'm gonna cut about 4 or 5 inches out of the cage. So I'm just gonna clip it off here at the main rail, build a new helmet cage, and suck that down to about here. It'll cut this out of the wind, it'll look a little bit better, and it'll fit better around my head. And instead of using this, this style SFI pad that's just wrapped, I'm gonna have plates made, and I'll send it out to Auto Power, and they'll make a really nice helmet surround all the way around the back, sides, and top. So that's one thing we're gonna do. And yeah. So let's get this thing up in the air and we can show you some of the underside. And if you guys have any questions about this project, make sure to drop comments down in the comments section. Ask away and I'll do my best to answer it. Hopefully you can hear me over the whining of the hydraulic pump.
I'm gonna turn around and do a sneak peek of the GT because that's always nice to look at while we're waiting. Good thing we're short.
All right, I'll turn the light on for you guys. We'll look underneath. Again, we'll start at the front. So right now I have the front belly pan off because I had all the belly pans off to add the weight and do some maintenance and some changes up front. So that is off, and you can see here, hopefully Jamie can see that. Here's the engine oil coolers, both sides. And then here is our remote oil filter. And then this is the water pump for the intercooler. So with land speed cars, everything is about packaging. It's really hard to fit all of this stuff in a really small car. So that can be a real challenge, and you'll see stuff stacked everywhere. So the biggest problem we had is I found at El Mirage in June, we only had 4 degrees of caster, which land speed cars, you want as much caster as you can get. It just helps it track better, go down the course straight. So we started looking at it, and this is an aftermarket suspension kit. So it takes the MG stuff off, and it uses tubular control arms that bolt in the factory location, but it uses Jaguar upright. The problem with these is they're not adjustable. You can't adjust the caster. It's set at 4 degrees, and it is what it is. So between Kiwi Steve, Tom Stewart, and myself, we came up with this idea to move the lower control arms forward to lay the spindle back to give us more caster. And we did that because the top needs a lot more work to move it back, and it'll shorten our wheelbase, which is already short enough at 94 inches. So we came up with these 1/2-inch steel plates. We machined them, drilled them, and it takes flush mount bolts a plate in the factory location, and then we drilled, countersunk, and tapped for flathead bolts to come out to make studs, and we moved the lower control arm mounts forward 1 1/8 inches. So that took us from 4 degrees of caster to 13 degrees of caster. So that'll really help out in stability going down course. But then we ran into the issue of the coilovers they used didn't have spherical ends in it. They were solid machined big bosses on there. So then I had to order new QA1 coilovers with spherical ends for the misalignment because the control arm moved forward, which laid everything back. So I got this together this morning. Right now I'm just using a couple washers as a shim to test everything, and then I'll come back and I'll machine spacers. But got the new coilovers in, and everything moved forward. I still have to come back here. The old brake line's mounted with these nuts and bolts. I'm just gonna take these off, rotate them around, and I'll drill and tap into this. So both sides are about the same. And I'm gonna have to tuck this oil line up, so it's just pulled out of the way for now. And we pulled the radiator out. It had some corrosion on the bottom tank, so I rebuilt the bottom tank, got it cleaned up and put back in, and rebled the system. And then next up, we're gonna add another 200 pounds in the front of the car to get us closer to our 1,000. So there is a tray system that bolts here, here, and back here, and it just ties everything together and gives a belly pan a place to mount. And I'm gonna build boxes that come up in all of these voids, and we're gonna fill them with lead. So we have those big, these are 69-pound lead bricks and some 50-pound bags of shot. I'll end up melting that down, dumping it into those boxes, and adding the weight up here. So we'll step out a second, and we'll talk about kind of the weight. So what we did is we calculated our static CP, which is here. So that is where our aerodynamic center of pressure comes into play. Right here, CP, that's approximately the line. So if we added no additional weight in the front, our center of gravity is right here. You want your CP and your CG to be about 6 inches or more apart. And that makes the car more stable. The closer your CP and your CG get to one another, the more unstable the car becomes. So 6 inches static, I would like more than that, because the faster you go with a spoiler, your CP will start to migrate forward a little bit. And without having wind tunnel data, we don't really know how far that's going to migrate. So by adding an additional 200 pounds to the front, it moves our center of gravity forward another 3¼ inches. So that gets us from about 6 inches to 9¼ inches. Ideally, I would like it to be farther, but that still keeps us within a good weight bias as well. So we're about 53% on the back, 47% on the front. So our bias is pretty decent, our center of pressure is good, our center of gravity is good. So we're gonna start there and see how that looks. And that's why we're adding so much weight. If you're not familiar with land speed stuff, weight is your friend. These cars can get really heavy. I think the 911 Fuel Roadster, I think they said they're gonna be like 8,000 or 9,000 pounds. You gotta have that weight to keep it planted and get traction. So we're adding all of that weight. So we'll step back under here, and that's gonna be my task for tomorrow, is get this rack back in and start building boxes to fill with weight. So here, I just put these back in yesterday, but all the belly pans are going back in. Just broken up. We had to take all of them out to get here to be able to bolt the lead weight in the back. So getting all that on, I left our exhaust bolts loose because where the exhaust kicks out, this was getting hot. And when I would finish a run, I could smell it burning. So I'm going to come in and make some spacers to shim that down about 3/4 inch to keep it away from that. And I'll put some more heat shield on there. So just little things that we're finding that could be improved upon, and I'm trying to do that while we're here working, just to make it easy, because we can't do a lot of these modifications at Bonneville. We don't have the time, we don't have a lift, all of that stuff. So everything I can do here in the shop is going to be a huge help when we get to the salt, and hopefully we can go fast. And then here, these are our strakes or our diffuser fins that come off the belly pan, out the back, to help straighten out some of that air that gets underneath of the body. Eventually, I'm gonna put skirts on it to help keep that air out of here, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna have enough time to do that before Speed Week. So overall, that's just a quick run around of the car. Jamie, do you think there's anything else we should talk about, or do you think I covered it?
I think you covered a lot of stuff. I don't think I have any questions.
Yeah, we can look at the list.
Yeah.
So like this is the initial list I came up with of stuff I wanted to do. So we're adding the weight, adjusting the caster, redoing the cool suit wiring. The hood quick latches are mostly done. Then I got to do the toe, camber, and caster, just check it. I'm going to modify the seat a little bit, make it more comfy for me to be in. Wing flap, which is halfway done. Exhaust spacers I mentioned. New cage, that's probably going to be over the winter. Make the wing adjustable, which we talked about. Rear wheel well screws. When I put the belly pan on, I have to wait till I take the wheels off to be able to do those. So I just made a note that I have to do it. We're going to put an extra set of wheels and tires together so we can split our gear ratio. I don't have the information directly in front of me, but right now we're running a 25-inch diameter tire. So if we can pull it, we could put a 26 on there, get us kind of a split in between our gear ratio, get us going a little bit faster. So I'm going to take a spare set of wheels, tires, with a bigger tire on it. And then we'll do the sequential shifter, side skirts, maybe, maybe not. And then a couple little clips that I want to add. And we're going to do an aluminum chute spool and a quick release pin that Crew Chief Tom is working on at his house in California. So everything's coming together. Checking stuff off the list. As of now, we have 3 weeks to get all of this stuff done, wrapped up, and ready to roll to Bonneville and get the trailer repacked. So, yeah, like here's the front two belly pans. This is the battery cover. Just a bunch of little stuff that needs to be wrapped up. So I'm feeling pretty good about it, but I really wanted to come in and show you guys the car. I mean, there's something about this car that I absolutely love. And that's why I acquired it. It's just a neat car, kind of a neat history with being built, how it was, where it was, and why. But yeah, I'm excited to show it to you guys, and I'm really excited to go to Bonneville and hopefully go over 200. We're hoping for 220-ish. That would get us in the 200-mile-an-hour club and set a record, which would be very cool. So that is our goal. Anything else to add, Jamie, or you think we covered it pretty good?
No, I think so. I think the only other thing on your list that you always do, but you don't talk about is you got to service the trailer again, too. Make sure you've got...
Yeah, we're going to service the trailer. We're going to go through, grease all the bearings. I have to put new batteries in it. One of the turn signals and brake lights stopped working. Got to get an oil change in the truck. It's just... Then pack everything strategically to where we know everything is. Get our entire pit loaded up. Go through toolboxes, all of that stuff. And even while I'm working on it, like this is the toolbox for the car. So I'm trying to get familiar with where everything is in this, keep it all organized, find out what tools and equipment we need to have in our pit box for when we're out at the salt. That way we're like, oh, why didn't I bring that? So I'm doing my best to work out of this box on the car. That way if I find something I need, I can get that and have it in this box. So I think that's a good practice, is use the tools I'll have at the salt when I'm here working. Like I have all my normal tools up front, but I might not have those when I'm out at Bonneville. So I'm trying to use everything we'll have there here. Trying to think. We're actually going to get a pinstripe too. I'm going to tie some of the history together. So MGA had a really big, I guess MG in general, had a really big presence at Bonneville and in racing. So I got this book from Kiwi, and it talks about MG record breakers. So there's a really cool, so this was in 47 is what it said. 1945, MG built this streamliner, and they had these lightning bolts, and rumor has it that the SoCal streamliner borrowed these lightning bolt designs from MG. So we're going to have Dan Shaw from Shaw Signs come in. He's going to hand letter these lightning bolts on the side. He's going to put the new crew chief, all our crew members on the car. I like to give, my appreciation and make sure they're noted for all the help they're doing, and pay a little homage to the early MG land speed guys. So the official name for the car is we're going to call it the Lyme disease, because it's the color. I like the color a lot. It's kind of limey. And then apparently, if you're from England and UK, people will call you limey about when settlers came over, they had to eat limes to not get scurvy. So I don't know if that's really an insult anymore, but Tom wanted to call it the limey bean, and I couldn't bring myself to do it. So I figured Lyme disease. I'm ate up with land speed racing. It's a disease. It's lime colored, kind of limey. But we're also going to call it the spirit of Moss, because Moss was their driver. Let's see if his name's in here so we can get a good shot of it. So Sterling Moss drove a lot of MG's race cars. So again, just to pay a little bit of history to MG and the racing they did. That's why I want to, call it the Spirit of Moss, tying back to Sterling Moss and the records he set. So trying to keep it all together, make it interesting. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and let the car back down, and we'll do a pan around it. And again, if you guys have any questions about this project, anything we're doing, make sure to drop in the comment section, and we can do our best to answer it. And we're hoping to get a bunch of really good footage at Bonneville for short content, long format content. I know I've been trying to do that for a couple years with the modified, but I always get so busy. But Tom's daughter is going to help us with some of the filming this year at Speed Week. So hopefully we can get some really cool stuff going. So, and I modified the windscreen too. At El Mirage, I ran without a windscreen. One of the common problems at El Mirage is the car dusting out. So when you have a windscreen, the wind is going to come up over it and act as a venturi. So it'll create a vacuum and it'll pull the dust up from underneath the car through the cockpit and you can't see. So we ran it once with this windscreen, which I didn't like this angled cut. And it started to dust up, so we drilled these holes so it would help pressurize it, and it still wasn't quite enough, and we had dusting problems. So I'd been running it with no windscreen. But at Bonneville, running the long course at 200 plus mile an hour, some of the buffeting that'll come through and get the helmet, it might be hard to see. So we had this other windscreen that was illegal for our class. I cut it down to make it legal, because before it came all the way back, and it was like a fairing around the cage, and it was not legal. So I cut that down, make it look a little bit better, and help cut the wind off of my helmet to make it easier to drive and better to see. So I got that done as well. So we might end up doing another walk around when I get all the pieces put back in, everything buttoned up, let you guys see how it looks together. And then I can do maybe an in-car of me sitting in it, how the belts work, all of that stuff if you guys want to see it. So you'll just have to give us feedback, let us know what you want to see of this car. If you hate land speed cars, too bad. I like them. You can complain in the comment section all you want, but I'm still going to post about them. But if you're genuinely interested, make sure to ask questions. And the only thing I can say about that too is go to Bonneville. It's a life-changing experience. You'll see a lot of neat stuff you've never seen anywhere. So that's about all I've got. Got anything else, Jamie?
No, I think we're good.
Yeah, I think I've rambled on about 30 minutes. So with that being said, we're going to try to get better at getting out more long format content. I know it's been a while. Just been super busy and back to doing the videos ourselves for now. So it can be a real challenge with racing, getting stuff ready for racing, and running the shop up front. As you can see, Jamie can pan around. Lots of race cars in the race shop between the MGA, the GT, the Hanchard Special, the Streamliner, the Rouster Roadster, and then we have the modified Roadster up in the office that I don't think is even going to be put back together to run at Bonneville this year.
Saved it.
Yeah, saved it. So, yeah, a little bit of a distraction, but I think that is the universe telling me to stop talking. So, thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Drop down in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Any questions you have about this car or any of the other race cars. Make sure to tell a friend, share, any of that stuff to help continue this channel to grow. I greatly appreciate it. I'm sure Jamie greatly appreciates it. And the more engagement you guys do with comments and sharing, the better the videos are going to be because we can give you what you guys want to know. So again, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we will catch you guys on the next one.